Well, as we prepare to return together collectively to in-person worship opportunities, I thought that it might be helpful for us to go over some of the details, some of the things that it's taking to make that possibility possible. And there are a lot of details that we could get into, and certainly we'll share some of those as we go along. But before I get to just some of the specifics, just so that you're aware, I thought it might be helpful for us to do a couple of things first. The first thing that I really have been thinking about is that this has always been, from our very beginning, this has been a church for our community. That's who we are, that's who we continue to be, and I've just been thinking about the ways in which obstacles in our past are now the opportunities that we celebrate that our church took, right? The faithful folks who decided to build the very first church building in the middle of the Great Depression, you want to talk about an obstacle, and yet that became an opportunity to give birth to a church that continues to feed and to nurture the spiritual lives of people in Fuquay-Varina today. Back a little over 20 years ago, our congregation went through a great difficult moment together, both sort of first bursting at the seams and not being able to figure out exactly how to move forward, but recognizing that our community was growing and wanting to not just be the church for the Fuquay of today, but the Fuquay of tomorrow. And our church came through that obstacle. We now look back on that and we say, oh, what a fantastic opportunity this has been to give birth to two faithful United Methodist congregations in our community and to be able to care for all of our new neighbors who are moving into the neighborhood. Now, we are facing an obstacle right now. And one day, I believe that my grandkids, your grandkids, are going to look back on this moment and they're going to say, that was an incredible obstacle, but man, they took advantage of that opportunity. And I don't exactly know what that means, but I know it's within us to do it. It's a part of our spiritual heritage. I think that if we maintain the same sort of open-handed posture that this community has always had, or as one of our leaders referred to it, flexible tradition, if we remain faithful in our creativity, and if we remain sensitive to the movement of the Spirit, we will see this obstacle one day as an incredible opportunity that we were able to take to continue to care for our community, to be a church for our community, which we've always been. Since we have been in this pandemic, over 1,200 people have moved into just the city limits of Fuquay. And that doesn't include Anger and Harnett County. That doesn't include Willow Spring. That doesn't include Holly Springs. It doesn't include the areas around over in Cokesbury. That's just within the city limits. Over 1,200 people have moved in the last year to our community. These are our new neighbors. These are our new family members. I think that we are poised to use this obstacle as an opportunity to continue to serve and to care for our community, and I'm excited about that. Now, what that means is that we're going to have to be very particular as we transition back to in-person worship, that we're not just spinning our focus around and only paying attention to the needs that I have or that you have or that we have as a family. We're going to have to continue to think about what the Spirit of God is moving us into and through. And so, I have heard myself saying this a lot. This is for now and not forever, right? As we continue to have to meet the needs of this moment, as we continue to think about being a church or a congregation for our community, a church for our community, as we think about what it looks like to have flexible tradition, be open-handed, there are a lot of things that will be for now, but not forever. And I always want to think in kind of in long-term, far out in the distance sort of moments, but this is a chance for us to think about what is needed for now and not forever. And then finally, again, before we get to some of the details, I think it's important to imagine that we have to continue to craft worship so that we can care for all of our congregations, right? This is not just one church in one place at one time. It wasn't that way before, quite frankly. Just think about worship. We had an 8 o'clock service, we had a 9:30 service, and we had an 11 o'clock service. And we crafted worship for each of those congregations in order to care for them, the needs that that community had, right? The same is true now. It's just that we don't have an 8, a 9:30, and an 11. We've changed, we've flexed, we've pivoted, whatever word you want to use, over the course of the last year, and now is not the time for us to stop doing that. And so, we're going to do it again. We're asking, who are the communities that we need to be caring for now? Who are the congregations that we need to be crafting worship for now? And so, we will have an in-person congregation We will have an online congregation, folks who either aren't registered to be in worship that particular day, or folks who don't yet feel comfortable being back in crowds. We got to care for them in the same sort of way. And in a way that we never have before, we have a congregation that exists all throughout the week, right? We're almost getting to a point where more people are engaging with worship and other kinds of opportunities like that after the live event has already taken place. That whole body of people together is our church. But we have to think about how to craft worship and care for each of those gathered congregations. And so that's where I'd like to start. And again, as I share these details, they're for now, not forever. We're going to move our contemporary style of worship, our contemporary flavor of worship, to 9 o'clock. It's going to now start at 9 o'clock. Okay? We're going to move our traditional expression of worship. These are the two expressions of worship that we've been offering online. We're going to move that to 11:15. And in between, we are currently working to craft a worship service that is specific to people who are gathering online, so that we can speak to a camera just like this, so that we can design content that is matches where people are worshiping, and so that we can create more and more opportunities to be able to engage with folks who are engaging with us online. So that's the new sort of worship time for now, not forever, 9 o'clock and 11:15, and then in between, we're going to start a 10:10 worship service. Now, that's not happening. The new worship style is not happening, that online venue is not happening until the middle of May, okay? From April the 11th until the middle of May, we're going to continue to do what we've been practicing for the last few weeks, when we've had people, kind of beta testers that are here, and we've been doing online and in-person worship in the same place at the same time. So folks that are gathered for in-person worship, they are watching the same sermon that everybody else is seeing online, pre-recorded on the screen that's right up there just behind me, okay? And we're going to continue to do that through the middle of May. When we get to the middle of May and we're able to craft worship that will care for our online congregation, then, at that point in time, we will turn our focus both at 9 o'clock and 11:15 towards our in-person worshipers, recognizing that at the very same time, both of those will continue to be live streamed out, right? So right now, when I welcome to a camera, even if there are people sitting in our Centrum. I will now start speaking to folks in the Centrum and then say, and if you're joining us online, we're glad you're here. So we will continue to craft worship for our in-person congregation in those two settings, both our contemporary and our traditional expressions of worship. So worship orders will change, all those sorts of things will change in the middle of May to help us craft worship for those particular congregations. All right? So those are some of the big changes that are taking place. The new worship times are going to begin on April the 11th. So 9 o'clock and 11:15, and then from now until May, we'll fill the space in between those two with our short form and with our family worship. So those two things will continue. It's going to be a little time of transition. We're going to figure it out together. But I believe, for now, not forever, this is what it takes for us to continue to be a church for our community, to see this obstacle as an opportunity for us to invite more people than we have before. Here's an interesting statistic. 40% of couples today, 40% of couples met online. They may not have dated online for long, but they met online. When I was coming through college, I can remember seeing a poster go up inviting us to, online, like meet people online if we wanted to, and I'm pretty sure it was just some dudes in a dorm room playing matchmaker before any of the algorithms existed. I thought, that's never going to catch on. No one's ever going to do that. 40% of couples. I would wager that at least 40% of people that visit our church will first visit us online. They may not stay there, right? They may be local. They may want to come and engage with our in-person congregation eventually, and that's great, But this is going to allow us to continue to care for our whole community, to be a church for our community. So, again, there are some days when I'm frustrated by it. There are some days when I'm confounded by it. But I believe that this is a congregation. This is a congregation who has regularly chosen to use obstacles as opportunities, and I believe that there's an incredible opportunity before us right now, and I think we're going to take it. So I'm really thankful for those of you that are going to remain flexible in the meantime to help us do just that. Now, some more details about what it's like. First of all, if you'd like to register to come to worship, right now, for now, we are going to do that at the beginning of every week. So at the beginning of every week by email, and for those of you that are not watching this video because you're not online, we have other systems in place for them. If you do know someone who's not tech savvy, like, let us know and we can work together to help them get registered for in-person worship, right? We can even give them some priority seating if we need to do just that. But we are going to register for worship at the beginning of every week, and you can come that weekend. So that's going to happen weekly at this point in time. When you come, we're going to give you all the instructions that you need. Everybody is going to be wearing masks. All of the worship leaders that are singing, even the trumpet wears a mask, right? If we have spoken things from the platform, then that would be without a mask on. But everybody else will be wearing masks. We're asking people to sing quietly, recognizing that God can hear even the whisper of our hearts. And so we're gonna allow people to sing and to participate in worship. But we're just asking folks to do that at a spoken word level, just to reduce any sort of risk to our neighbors. We're alternating rows, and we're assigning seats. So when you register, you'll get a specific seat in a specific area, and that way we can just help keep people socially distanced as we feel like is safe. When you come in, you'll come in either through the side entrances on the children's wing or on the adult wing. You'll park on the respective side of the place you're worshiping in the centrum, right? So you'll come in those side doors. You'll sit on your side of the centrum. Our ushers have been working the last 2-3 weeks to figure out how to make that process go seamlessly. We're going to ask you to make some promises about your symptoms and those sorts of things before you come. We'll sign you in when you get here, so we know if there is some sort of a situation, we can reach out to the people that were affected. And then at the end of worship, we dismiss row by row, and people just walk straight out the back doors of the centrum, through the welcome space, and out towards the fountain. The first Sunday we tried it, nobody stuck around to talk. But today, for instance, there were a bunch of people sort of milling about with their masks on by the fountain, catching up. And it's just been so great to see old friends and familiar faces, or at least half of familiar faces. And so that's kind of how things are going to work. Again, it's not perfect. It's not wonderful. It's not everything that I hope it will be, but we are taking one faithful step at a time. And I do believe that this is going to create a number of opportunities for us as we continue to move forward. So thank you for your open-handed flexibility as we go into it. And I look forward to seeing you in worship very, very soon.